Guys, welcome to Podcast Fandom Premium. I'm your host, Nina.
I'm Donald.
And I'm Kaylee.
And we are back to put to bed The Glory, our latest K-drama. We split it up into pieces. The show itself was split into 8 episodes, debuting last December, and the final 8 dropping a few weeks ago, the beginning of March. And we split the final 8 episodes that dropped a few weeks ago into 2, 4, and 4. So we're going to be talking about those final 4 episodes, the final 4 episodes of the series or season, the way it ended. It feels like, ask your brother. It feels like even they're thinking it could continue. At the very least, the way it ended, we know these people's stories continues together. Right? Whether or not we'll see it is another thing. So there's a lot to talk about. So let's just get into it. I'm going to start with you, Donnie. What did you think of this ending and the series overall? You're the newest to K-dramas of the three of us. You've only watched a handful compared to our 2 handfuls. So what did you think?
You guys led me astray. You guys are like K-dramas. They just kill off everybody. So I completely trusted that in my death pool. I killed off everybody.
I forgot we did that!
And
let's pull up the results.
There was only...
there was no death first.
There was no deaths. There was one death this whole...
Yeah, there was one. There was one.
The husband, and that was it.
No, there was another one. All right, let's hold on. Let's go over the death poll. Hold on, let me get my Apple Pencil.
I can think of
at
least 3 deaths.
We asked if the person would be alive or dead. So there's an A or a D next to the person's name. And then we asked about certain plot points, okay? So the 3 of us answered, would Yeonjin, the main bully, die? And I said she would be alive, and you both said she would be dead. So I get a point.
Yes.
Oh, we're getting points?
Yes, we're getting
a prize for this?
Yes. Hold on. How should I do this? I'm going to circle it in like this green, and you guys are getting a big red X.
It's not our fault. She kept saying she's going to kill her. So I'm like, you go, queen. Kill her.
So the main character, Dong-eun, we all said she'd be alive, and we were correct. So we're all getting points for that. I get 2. You guys have 1. Okay, how about that? All right. Sara, we all 3 thought she would die. So none of us get points. To-hyun, the husband. We all thought he would be alive, so we get points. Hae-jung, the flight attendant.
She's alive.
We all said she would be alive, and she's alive, so we get point. Though gravely injured. Jae-jun, we all thought he would die, and he died. So we get points.
Yeah, I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, when you were like, no one died, that's the first thing I thought of. The doctor, Yeo-jung, I think his name is, Dr. Ju. I said alive. Kaylee said dead. Daddy said alive, so we get points. Kaylee does not. The daughter... We all said alive, because we're not...
Evil.
Yes. Is Jack getting this dog some water or not? Oh, God. It's the first time you guys were right, and I was wrong. Miss Kang. I said she would die. You 2 said alive, so you guys get points, because thankfully she didn't die. Okay, so then we asked some yes or no questions, because... And I should clarify, these are predictions we made at the end of the first half that aired in December. So those first 8 episodes. And so there were some things that were still unclear. The first one was, will they kill Kang's husband? And I said no, and you two said yes. So I guess technically I'm wrong.
Correct.
Because I don't remember, were we saying like, I think my question in my head when I was asking it was like, will they do it?
Oh, the characters themselves.
Yeah.
You don't have to hold
Just
the
go ahead,
phone,
just
just
put
set it down.
There you go. Sorry about that. Yes, like they would do it, and that's why I was thinking no.
How did
that
he
they
die
would,
again? I forgot.
the hit and run. She set the mom up to do
the
it.
mom hit him.
Yeonjin's mom.
Oh, right.
Because he was blackmailing. So I don't know. Should I get a point for that or
No.
not? Why not?
You got too many.
Oh my god. Okay, fine. Whatever. I should have kept my mouth shut. So did Yeonjin kill Myungo? And we all said yes, because they were still being a little ambiguous. They only had showed the green shoes and everything was kind of pointing to her. We didn't know if they were going to do a red herring type thing, but they didn't. It was her. We asked, did she kill So-hee in the past? I said no.
I don't know.
Because I thought they would maybe come up with some sort of twist. The two of you said yes, so now you guys get points and I didn't. I should have kept my mouth shut because now Daddy's winning. I asked if she would get her full revenge, meaning would she like
Get revenge on everybody.
Get her revenge on
her happy
everybody and
ending.
be happy and just be like, or at the very least, would she just get her full revenge? Would she not back down? Would she not get caught? Would one of them get away? And we all said yes. And she did, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Even on her mother.
even on her mom, which we didn't even talk about. And then we asked, would it be a happily ever after? And we all said no. And so I technically think we're all wrong.
Yeah, we're all
because it was happier than we thought it would be.
It was like one of the
Right.
best outcomes I could have thought of.
Yeah, it was better than anything we could have thought of. So the winner is Donnie, unfortunately.
That's right.
Shut up. You have 11 points. I have 9. Kaylee has 10 after my early lead. So anyway, I'm sorry. We led you astray. You thought more people would die. What else?
I guess the open end, the way they ended it, like I don't think they should have another season. I think they should just leave the story there. Me personally. I mean, other than that, it was a great show.
Okay. What about you, Kaylee?
I think they should have another season.
Right, I know. His wrong opinion.
I see the look on your face when he said that. But, like, I want to say they should have another season because I feel like, homeboy, he didn't quite get his revenge. So it's like, it feels a bit like he hasn't... He
was so ride or die. He needs to, he has to get his.
But also, if they do another season, I feel like they had to introduce another kind of plot point. Because I feel like, I don't know if him getting revenge is enough for a full season.
Well, you know what I
Right.
realized?
Because he's already
done
in
with
place
it.
to do what he needs to do. That would be
Yeah, that's true. It would be how to do it and get away with it.
Mm.
And I was thinking, they could do the angle of getting revenge on him for his other victims because he had killed 3 people. 2 were women. Mm-hmm. And we don't know anything about that. But he's already sentenced to death. So it's not like they didn't get justice. Mm-hmm. Unlike with Dong-eun, her tormentors were living the life. So, okay. Go ahead.
I'm so pleasantly surprised with the ending. I'm so glad I got everything I wanted. And so because of that, this is now my second favorite K-drama of all time.
Inspector Ku is still your number 1?
Yes.
Okay.
But this beats Extracurricular and Week Hero Class.
Okay.
But as I was thinking about it the other day, Week Hero Class is number 3 and Extracurricular is number 4.
I'm looking at my K-drama list of ones that I've completed, and then I put, what rating. Our dog is humping his plushie in the background. I'm sorry if you can hear it. And then, my rating out of 1 out of 10, and I gave this a 10. And the only other shows, if you're curious, that get a 10 for me, K-dramas, are Extraordinary Attorney Woo, Goblin, and Squid Game. And a lot of that, I think, with Squid Game was just the viewing experience.
Yeah,
I will give it
fun.
that. I will concede that, but that doesn't change that it gets a 10 for me. So, okay, so your second favorite. Mm-hmm. I'm so pleased to hear that.
Because it was also, like, one of the few K-dramas where I was so rooting for the romance as well.
Yes. We're like, please don't break his goofy little heart. Even though I had said from the beginning, I had asked you if you thought she had approached him on purpose.
Turns out it was the other way around.
And it kind of was, right? Like, she did, like, but it wasn't, like, but he knew about it from the beginning. And one of the things I loved about this series was, like, the visual storytelling. And you see that in that, you know, one of the reasons I even suspected that she had targeted him, besides the fact that it was so coincidental, but the way they showed them first being near each other was very much the way they showed her being with Yeonjin's husband, where they're both in a place unaware of each other, and seemingly like we don't think that she knows them or whatever. And we know that she targeted the husband. So that's the one thing. But I love stuff like that. But anyway, I'm sorry. I cut you off. Go ahead. Are you done?
Yeah, I'm done. I just really enjoy this show. I want to rewatch it sometime. See if I can catch any of the foreshadowing.
Oh, so much good stuff. All right. Well, let's talk about what actually happened. Remember when we last left off, Sarah was busted getting high in the church. Remember you and I were like, they showed that place, like
that scene.
Yeah, we were like, we seen the church with the cross with the lights on it. We saw it when Dong-eun had called Jae-jun and was like, I sent you some photos. I didn't know who else. I was gonna send them to Do-hyun, but I decided to send them to you since you're her dad. And she snitched on the teacher. That's where she was. She was walking around that, and it was like under construction. It was a sign and all that part of the church. She was walking around that room when she called him and told him, I'm sending you pictures of that teacher looking up skirts and stuff. Okay. Yeah, so she was scouting out the place before.
That's just so cool. They just showed her
yes.
no explanation. Like,
yes.
We didn't even bother to think, where is she?
So everybody's talking about that, about Sarah being arrested. And Yeonjin is sleeping at the shaman's because shit is kind of blowing up and it's the only place that she thought that she could go. And they called her husband to come and pick her up. He was like, get your ass up. Ain't nothing wrong with you. Get in the car. And he takes her to the lawyer's office and she's like, Gomawo oppa. And and he goes, I'm not doing it for you. I'm doing it for my stock price. It's a smart thing to do. So when she meets with the lawyers, she's basically like, who says this is me? This ain't me.
Deny.
Who says they talking about me? Do you see my name in here? Then why would you want me to say it's me? And that's when I think he really realized, or he was like, it was starting to dawn on the husband what type of person he was dealing with.
Yes.
Because she says point blank, I know people, the masses, better than you. And if y'all they don't have any proof, I'm not saying shit. And Sarah's just as bad at the police station because they want a urine sample and she's like, you need a warrant. And then she calls the cop like a civil servant bitch or something. And she has to, like, why'd you only bring 2 lawyers? I need like 7 or something. So Jae-jun goes to the guy he paid to retrieve the hard information from the hard drives and learns that hard drive had never been, nothing had ever been on it. It hadn't been reformatted at all. It was a completely new hard drive so his hard drive had been swapped out. And
That's smart.
Yeah. And we later see her telling the other girl, Kyungna, to replace it instead of reformat it because she heard that's better. Mm-hmm. And you know she heard that from Sheen, the detective, his little crooked ass. So anyway.
You know what I realized? I mean, it's probably obvious and you probably knew it, but I was watching someone react to this, and I didn't know that detective was in the first episode, and he was the one who bailed her out when they were in high school, and it's like the very beginning of the first episode where she goes to the cops. She calls the cops because they were bullying her, and then we are introduced to the main girl bullying. She's in the
office. Yes,
yeah.
Is she?
I didn't know that was him.
I didn't remember it was him until I was watching a reaction too.
Yeah.
And she was like, "Oh, because you got that information on my dad that helped my mom get a good divorce settlement. I thought you were just sleeping with her or something." Yeah, that was him. So then Hae-jung plays the audio from Myung-go's iPad for Jae-jun. And he realizes that where they were having the conversation was his fitting room because he can hear Myung-go talking about the liquor. Right.
That's so Sherlock.
Yes.
Who would think that?
And to drive it home, they show him offering some to Yeonjin, and he was like calling out like what he had in there. Hae-jung's dumb ass is like, "What? He really did steal your booze?" She's like everything else that's unraveling here. So then he basically proposes to her. He's like, "Want to help me raise my daughter?" She's like, "Sure, because I've loved you since high school." So we finally get backstory on Kyung-na. That's the assistant at both the clothing store and Yeonji. Oh, Jesus Christ. Do you hear my air freshener?
No, I didn't hear it.
Oh, so embarrassing.
Yeah, it's like, I told you, it's barely noticeable over Skype.
But anyway, she confronts her, and we find out that it's like confirmed, if you hadn't pieced it together, that she was bullied. She was the girl they were bullying
right
after Dong-eun. Right. And you can see, like, the casting is... I gotta go look.
I think it's the same
it has to be the same girl. Because I just rewatched the last two episodes. Well, I've rewatched all of them. But I rewatched the last two episodes more thoroughly. I've forgotten so much. I'm so glad I did. And there's that flashback scene of her being happy with Dong-eun in the hallway. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, that's her. Like,
it was just
how did they find a girl to look just like her?
I just think she also just looks very young, even as her older self. Like,
she's like, give me a long ponytail in the school uniform and watch this. Let me scrub my face.
But also, it was just so shocking when we found out that they were also friends before both of them were bullied.
Yeah, she just went and they targeted these girls and just... Anyway. So, now, this conversation, she basically says to her, "I know you were living in the shop." She goes, "First of all, I know you recognized me when I was there with Myung-go in the first episode, right? Why didn't you you could have went to Yeonjin then and told her I'm back, right?" And then she says, "I know you were living in the shop until October 19th. And I know that's the last anybody saw him." She's like, "I'm just here to..." She's like, "Well, what do you want from me?" She goes, "I'm just here to tell you it has to be Yeonjin. She has to be the one to have killed him." And what?
Our predictions are wrong because she didn't kill Myung-go, remember? It was a girl.
Technically, I feel like she did.
Delivered the final killing blow, so technically...
The other girl... Nico, if you don't stop. The other girl killed him, but, like...
It was...
He was gonna die from what she did anyway. Because nobody was calling the cops. He was gonna... There's no way he was surviving all that blunt force trauma.
We don't know that.
I don't know.
Technically.
All right, fine. Everybody loses a point.
Yeah.
So Daddy's at 10. You're at
9.
9. And I'm at 8. You happy now?
Yes.
I still lost.
Yes.
Nico, stop it.
It was just gonna bother me.
Okay, fine, whatever. So where was I? Oh, so she tells her Yeonjin needs to be the one to have killed him. And I thought that was so weird because
looking back on it, it is like now I get it because of what they did, but
because she knew, because she said, I knew you moved out. She said, I knew you moved out after that date. So it was basically her telling her, I know you did it, but it needs to be her. Mm-hmm. Right. Or even if I think she did it, and I don't know if maybe you're thinking like you're going to be the one to take the blame. It needs to be her. So I need you to do nothing. Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Donnie. I'm sorry.
No, that's it.
Yeah, in retrospect, it makes sense. But at the time, I was like, why would she say it that way? And I love that they dropped in, too, because before this, in the first 4 episodes of this part of the season, we learned that she had the bottle in her closet.
Yeah. Right. And
one of those 2 thugs was like, hey, by the way, how come there was never a murder weapon when we cleaned up that body? Mm-hmm. Right. Okay. So we know the doctor is applying for another job because he gets some sort of like employment certificate from his friend.
It was so funny to me that it took you, I pieced this together faster than you did.
Yeah, I was like,
he's applying for a job to work at the same prison that the guy is at, and you were like,
yeah, I didn't
get that until the very end.
I thought that it was clearly something that he was that whatever he needed it for, it was to help her. Mm. I didn't think that it was about him, because he was like, you already have a job, what do you need that for? And then after that, they show him going and talking to the one guy there and then seeing the guy.
And you still didn't get it then. Because I remember I pointed out to you after that scene, and I'm like, you didn't pick up, like, that's why he was there at the prison.
Oh, yeah, no, I didn't get it, yeah. Nico, will you shut up? He's eating, and he stops eating long enough to just, like, bark at absolutely nothing. Shut up. He does learn from his friend that his mother knows about the letters from the prison. He ends up going out day drinking with his friend, and I love this because they show how just like how happy he is about what he's doing, like being with her and helping with her revenge and being on his way to getting his own revenge. And like the very next scene is him walking in the Go Park, like sucking on a lollipop. And it's like, I can't tell if it's like to show how at ease he is with his life and how he's just very happy to be doing this, or to show how psychotic he is.
It's both, and I appreciate it.
Because he goes from like being goofy to like cold so fast. So he runs into the husband, Tohyun, who's in the park, like crying and shit. He was going through it, okay? And they start playing Go, and he recognizes Dr. Ju's playing style. Mm-hmm. He's like, I know these moves. And he's like, what's the matter, shook? He's like, my dad taught me, and I taught her. And he's like, God damn it. But he admits that he's like, if you care for her, I don't presume to know like what your relationship is, but if you care for her, why are you helping her do this? Because this is not going to like, and he was like, make her happy. And he was like, when people are victimized, how much do you think they can actually get back? Because I'm going to help her do whatever she needs to do so that her life can start. Because it ended when she was 18 years old. Because of your shitty ass wife. I just loved it. Okay. So, both Yeonjin and the mom are under pressure. The press is wondering if she is weather forecaster A, that's in the news for being a bully. And it's all about Sohee. You notice that? Like, the letter that's published is Sohee's mom. It's all about what they did to her. None of it is about Dong-eun at all. And the mom is under pressure from Kang's husband, who is blackmailing her. And Yeonjin gets scared that she actually has some evidence, so she goes to the fitting room. And she's like looking under the couch and shit. And finally she's like, she don't know nothing. I'm going back to having my fittings here. And I'm like, bitch, your life is falling apart. So, Mrs. Kang calls her and snitches and is like, this is so weird, but like, no, she calls her and she's like, Hae-jung is ducking my calls. What has she been up to? Because remember, Mrs. Kong is still doing what she does for Dong-eun, but she thinks she's reporting to her only.
Right.
So she's like, girl, she's been in Jae-Joon's apartment for 3 days. She only leaves to go to work. She goes right over.
Like, what the fuck are you doing in my boyfriend's house?
In my shirt that I bought for him. She whipped that shirt off so fast. She was like, here, bitch, you want the shirt? And I posted this article in the group because apparently not only is that not her boobs, she had a body double, but those aren't even the body double's boobs. Those are CG.
Really?
Yeah. It's still South Korea. Like, I know it's a Netflix production, but they're still South Korean actors and stuff in TV, and they ain't trying to. And so she was like,
well, I guess,
and they did it because the body double has been being harassed, like on Instagram, because she's listed as her body double. Mm. So people were just like, ooh, you got nice tits. And she's like, those aren't my boobs. Then Haejong goes to Sara in jail because Sara thought she was going to dip and she got arrested instead. Sara had dyed her eyebrows and hair blonde in preparation for leaving the country, but got arrested instead. So she's sitting in there itching like a junkie. She is. And Haejong is like, nobody's really talking about Yeonjin's bullying story because at the same time somebody leaked that you've been evading paying your taxes. And she was like, what? She's like, don't you think it's funny? Don't you think it's funny how that happened at that time? She's just starting shit. And then as the doctor is talking to the guy at the prison, she finds the letters from the not serial killer, but the guy who killed his dad. She finds the letters and stuff in the drawer. First she sees the knives because she's putting away some papers. And
I love that drawer so much because when they showed it for the first time, I don't know if we talked about it, but it starts off as like usual doctor tools, like scalpels, and then
it made sense until it didn't.
And then the camera pans over.
It goes to kitchen. It goes through butcher knives all the way to a hunting knife.
I was so excited.
One is like iridescent. Remember, it's like all glowy and like rainbowy.
I was just so immediately intrigued. I love the way they revealed that.
That's probably how mommy felt about me when I had my knife collection.
I was just like, I don't understand white people at all. Why does he collect knives? This is weird. And at the prison, he tells the guy, please live well, so that next time I can see you, I can make your life hell. Mm-hmm. I can show you the hell that I'm living in. And then Dong-eun quits her job. She apologizes to Yeseo, the little girl, and then she leaves. And just as that happens, just as Sheen is trying to blackmail Yeonjin with the body that he has, because he's like, you're my ticket to Hawaii. Let me show you something. And he opened that drawer.
It's empty. He's like, hold on.
It was right. I swear to God, it was right here. I put it here myself. She's like, I don't see no ticket to Hawaii.
Maybe it fell down the crack. Hold up.
Then he started making phone calls and shit.
Where's the body?
But just as that happens, they find the body. And her mom, she gets into a fight with her mom in her apartment for causing her to lose her job and stuff. And her mom sets a fire with the cooking grill on the floor. And all of it's recorded.
I remember thinking at the time, I don't know how she's holding herself back from just physically attacking her mom.
Was just like, I was like, I just lost a parent, but you've got to kill her.
Like,
because I don't understand how she's not beating this woman's ass, because I would have totally...
She's always been like this. It's not like it's something new.
Oh, the day she was born. This woman has never been. So
it's like, I don't know why she's still... But then it's like, oh, she's recording this for evidence, so she has to.
Yeah. She has great restraint, because I would have blown 15 years of revenge plotting to beat her ass in that room and then delete the footage and start again. I'm sure she'll piss me off tomorrow, but today I'm beating her ass. Anyway,
didn't they dump the body where the
Yes.
girl
Yeah.
jumped
where
the roof?
Sohee, yes, fell off the roof. Yep. So the next episode, she's like, "Where's your ticket to Hawaii?" And she gets a phone call from Hae-jung, and I'm like, "Why are you still answering her calls?
You guys aren't even friends anymore.
She's fucking your dude, and like she got all up in your face with her titties out and told you to fuck
You
off."
still pick up the phone
And
when
you
she
picked
calls.
up the phone. It's like, what? I was like, what?
What do you think she's gonna talk to you about?
I block people for less. What are you talking about? She was like, they found Myungo's body. And she was like, well, thanks for telling me. I guess I just lost 2 friends. It's like, you think? So he panics, the detective, and he grabs all this cash that he had in a safe somewhere, and he tells his sister to sell the hotel that he had bought in her name. And then Dong-eun uses the video of her mom setting a fire in her apartment to have her committed to a facility for her mental issues and her alcohol dependence.
It's so funny how she just like tricked her mom into attending that meeting. She's like, "All right, bye," and just like drag her away screaming.
And she was like, "I'm the only one who can do this to you because blood is thicker than water." She goes, I think she was like, "By the way, I won't be visiting much." And then the doctor learns something interesting, that the lady who owns the building that they all rent from, apparently, she's the landlady of this town, apparently, that she is nice to Dong-eun because she's like that little, she saved my life one day. Mm-hmm. And this is when he's like in this local plate, like picking out new wallpaper and stuff for the apartment because it burned, right?
I love how he's just doing all this domestic chores for her.
That's his job, his other job, when he's not being a plastic fucking surgeon. Sarah is out of jail. She wants her old phone from back in the day. And we learned she took a video of Yeonjin bullying Sohee because Sohee was she had the audacity to be walking around in the same outfit that Yeonjin was wearing, but it was like a knockoff brand of whatever designer outfit she was wearing. And she had tried to get her to strip there in the street, and she ran off. And all of that is on video. And then her husband reads the letter that Sohee's mother put online in his office. And when he read the part about how they burned her with cigarettes and curling irons, he like physically, like, he's like gasping, covering his mouth, and he can't believe, it's like he almost starts crying. He's mortified. And that's when he calls her, and we learned that he asked her for Sohee's parents' family contact stuff. So she gives him the mother's address, right? And then he asked where the body is. So I was nervous because I was like, can we trust him fully? Like, is he going to try to protect this witch? Like, there was like a moment, and I love that she asked him. She was like, why? Why do you want to know where the body is? What you gonna do? And he learns that it's at that hospital. Yeah. And then we get a flash of him, I guess, after that go match with the doctor. He had his lawyers look into the doctor, and he knows that that's his hospital. Yeah.
That explains, because I completely forgot about that, because later on when she goes to pay rent on it, they're like, oh, it's somebody's already paid.
He paid
all
it.
All the rent, and she's like, who? And she names a construction company.
Yeah. Hey, cut it. It's weird. I don't know. Is he barking whenever Daddy talks?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Because he's been doing this all day, so it's something outside.
Okay. Yeonjin sniffs around Jae-jun for information. She wants to know, like, what happened with Myungo, and learns that the body was found at the same place that Sohee's body was found, right? And that's when she we see her, what happened with her killing her. And I don't know why she was there. Like,
why she was on the roof?
Yeah, we'll talk about it later, because she just remembers killing her, and then she begs her. There's another scene. I'm going to save it to talk about it later, but she remembers her falling off the roof, I should say. Like, she remembers killing her, and it's just the same scene, the flash of her being on fire, and then she begs him to save her and uses the daughter. Like, we can't let our daughter's mother be a murderer. But she confesses to him that she killed both. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he knows the truth. And then she hugs him, and she's like, oh, fuck. Because that's not what she wants. But she ain't got no other options. Mm-hmm. And he hugs her back, and he's all just, yeah. Like, so Sarah visits Yeonjin. And this is, I meant to look it up, but when Yeonjin comes home, Sarah's there with her daughter. And she's like, oh, she's drawing. And she's like, you're such a good artist. You want to come work for me? And she's like, do you like to get high? That's what the English translation says.
Yes.
But what she actually asks her is if she likes drugs. So because she says, yak, 좋아해요, or something like that. And I'm like, so then when she's dragging her away and she's like, I meant to say, would you like to get hired? And so I want to go back and like figure out like what did she say in Korean that could have made sense to that, because it's not what she asked. It's not what she really said in Korean, is the way they translated it. But anyway, she grips her up and they go in the closet, and that's when Yeonjin figures out that, well, first she accuses her of like leaking the story about her to take the heat off of her. And then Yeonjin realizes something from her bag is missing because she threw a temper tantrum
and charm fell off
in the mortuary. That's right.
I just remember the scene of her going to find it.
So now Jae-joon goes to visit his lawyer who's getting his hair did. Do you remember that? The lawyer sitting there with the little hooded hair dryer thing in the salon, and he's like, we can't stop. He wants to stop the investigation of the Sohee's body, right? And he's like, there's nothing we can, Myung-go's body. He's like, there's nothing we can do because they're going to do an autopsy. Even if 3 generations of the family come forward and say they don't want it, it's a criminal event. They have to autopsy the body. So he goes, damn, well, I guess I got to cut the mother off. And he walks out and the guy's like, why are you cutting your mother off? So he goes and he meets with the husband in the fitting room. He's like, this is where I used to fuck your wife, right? And he offers him the audio recording of her with Myung-go. And for whatever reason, they never play like the full thing for us. Like they say that's all there is or something like that. It doesn't seem like the murder is actually.
I'm assuming it's because she poured alcohol and everything.
But like
I feel like you heard the scream. I took it as like as they were fighting, their phone got knocked over or whatever. But I felt like it got wet pretty early on before they even argued.
I know, like, from what I remember is on there is the part where she basically is like, you have a minute. Mm-hmm. And then later, after he, like, bluffs about the thing in his pocket, he looks over her shoulder and looks at the clock and he's like, oh, my minute is up. And he's, like, laughing. I know they have the first part of that on the thing because you could hear it, but like the way it plays, like for instance when she's listening to it at the end of the episode where she gets the iPad, they don't let us hear what she's listening, but she's laughing like she has something. And then everybody else who's heard it since, it feels like it is like definitive proof. Like they're taking it as, oh, she killed him.
Yeah, so I guess it all is on there.
So there's something on there. I feel like that they're like, at the very least, if it's not like straight up proof, it's like it doesn't look good for her, right? Okay. So he tries to trade that for the daughter. He's like, divorce her and sign over the rights to the daughter for what's on here. Go listen to it. And then he's so stupid because, like, why would you give? Well, it was a copy of it. Mm-hmm. So he says, take it home and listen to it, right? Okay. So then Kong's husband gets the call. He's like, I work for the woman you've been blackmailing me. Come meet me here. I have the money. And he rushes out to do it. She's like, but I'm cooking. And he's like, no, fuck that food. We're going to Red Lobster. Like, I don't know. He runs out.
Red Lobster.
But, like, I feel like the recording, who made the phone call? Because it sounds like her.
Yeah, I don't know.
Trying to disguise her voice.
But it wasn't, like, obviously her at the moment.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
I don't think it was a recording either. I don't know.
But who was it? Because it sounds like her.
I assumed it was the Yeonjin's mom.
Oh.
I thought she was deliberately setting up this whole thing.
Duh, I'm so stupid. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Because they didn't actually kill him. It was her. Right. So she does. She sets it up. Yeonjin's mom sets it up so that she hits him while she's in the car with Sheen. It's like, we're going down together, motherfucker. I told you this. And as she's driving, she's like, crimes, you get away with crimes better when you have an eyewitness to back up what you're saying, right? He's like, what?
And then, 2 seconds later.
2 seconds later, this guy's dead. And she's like, you're my witness. You saw it. He came out of nowhere, right? He's like, you bitch. And then this was so fucking creepy. Yeonjin goes to the mortuary looking for her fucking thing from her bag, and the doctor walks in. She's like, oh, I was looking for the bag.
Her response is so funny. She's like, I'm so flustered I can't even think of the line. Then she just leaves.
She's like, I almost shit myself. I'm gonna go. We both know I do not belong here. But then the gate is locked, and she's like, what did you do to me the other day? And all this stuff. And I like, because he was just like, I can tell a lot about the person who inflicted a scar. So at first, I thought he was going to say something about the cut on her foot. But basically, he was saying that he's seen what she did to Dong-eun, and like, she's basically the devil. And he tells her the gate isn't really locked, and I won't charge you for parking. And you should drive carefully because I have a feeling your luck has just run out. Like, this is the last lucky thing that's going to happen to you. And he tells her to skedaddle. He also mentions
car accident.
Yeah, jaywalking. He was like, you need to be careful on nights like tonight. It's raining. And then her mom calls and is like, guess where I am?
Guess what I just did?
So she picks her up from the jail, takes her to the shaman. And then, here's one thing I love. The husband's lawyer listens to the audio. And again, he says, this could be bad. If he has other copies of this could be bad. So he thanks him. And he's like, be careful. He's like, you too. And one thing I noticed, we talked about a lot in the series is, like, what kind of man her husband is. Mm-hmm. Like, what's he going to do? Is he going to stick by her and all this? And, like, is he going to cheat and all this? And I feel like with this show, if you look at how people treat people beneath them, you can see the good people.
Yeah. Even
when they do bad things, like, Dong-eun did bad things to get her goal. The doctor did bad things to get but at their core, like, the way they treat other people who are in need, and you see that in her husband. Remember in the first part where he got like this expensive bottle of liquor and he tried giving it to his driver? Yeah. And the driver's like, I would not know what to do with expensive liquor like this. I don't know how to drink this. Versus he was like, well, go buy some cheap liquor, drink it, and then drink this, and now you'll know that he's like, you drink this, it's going to change your life. You're going to have your pinky up when you drink. But you remember, and even like when he got dropped off at the Go place And like he was like, take the car, go home for the weekend or whatever. And he was like, thank you, sir. You know, he was always good. He always spoke well to the people who worked for him, and they returned that. And you could see that. And I was like, that should have been a sign, I think. You talk about foreshadowing, that he was one of the good ones in the show. Because everybody else was fucking terrible. Like, Hae-chang was the worst. She snapped at... There had to be at least 5 scenes of her snapping at girls in fitting rooms and shit. Yeah. In the whole season. So at the shaman, that's when Yeonjin finds out that her mom killed Kang's husband. Because a little thug calls and he's like, you know that guy we was tailing? He got hit in a jaywalking accident last night. And she just looks at the room where her mom is sleeping like, are you fucking kidding me? The fuck is wrong with you? We have the actress, I think her name is Yom Hye-ran, who plays Mrs. Kang. She needs to win awards. She is so fucking good, right? Like the scene after she sees her husband's body, like she played that so well, like the actress, not the character, because I don't think she was faking. Like that was real grieving, because that was still
her husband.
And she was like she set this in motion. That's like a heavy thing. I don't think she misses him, but like her acting in the scene was so good. And then the shaman. So there was a scene I didn't mention, but I feel like it happened, and I realized as I was writing these notes. There was a scene with Dong-eun approaching, or the doctor approaching the shaman, right?
I think it was Dong-eun.
Dong-eun, right? And we never saw like how it played out until later. The shaman is doing a special session or whatever, and she channels Sohee, who calls out to what is that noise? Donnie.
What?
What is that noise?
My phone.
Stop.
It ain't me. Somebody's calling me.
Oh.
He's just banging his phone on the table.
I thought he was like typing or something. I'm like, put that down. Yeah, she pretends to be Sohee, and it was weird though, because she knew things
that she shouldn't have.
She was like, do you want me to take this outfit off now? But it's cold or something. And I'm like, how did you know all of that? Because then that's when we get the flashback, and we see that on the roof, Sohee stood up to her. And we learned that Sohee had even transferred schools, and they went, like, she went fucking with her. She was she was so, for no reason.
She should have died. I think she just should have died. I mean, I'm still satisfied.
And that was the main girl that was down below that was heard it, right?
Yeah, she heard it. And this was when she was about to...
I don't think she heard their conversation, though.
No, she heard the thump.
Yeah,
she heard the aftermath of it and saw the body. And she found the name tag there. So she knew that Yeonjin was there.
She went back to
later and found it, yes. And she was looking at her withdrawal letter that she had yet to submit. And when she went back is when because she got the call, he was yelling at her, remember? You want to withdraw, you just withdraw. Don't put their fucking names on here. We see now that where she was when she got that call was when she found the tag. Yeah. Okay. Meanwhile, the cop is checking, after talking to Dong-eun, he checks the lighter that was found on the rooftop for DNA, right? Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
He says we're going to send this off to be tested.
Right.
And then it ends with Dong-eun showing up as the shaman act is going on. But then the shaman starts acting, like, seriously. And then she's like, why are you here? You're dead. Your body is covered in burns and your head is bashed in. And I was like, who is that? Was she supposed to be Sohee? Was she now talking to Sohee? Because she was like, who are you? And she was like, your body is covered in burns and your head is bashed in. She's here. And that's when she started flailing and then passed out. And they said that I forget what it's called in Korean, but they put it up on the screen, and her daughter was like, it's like the greatest punishment against a shaman. So, obviously it was fake. Mm-hmm. Dong-eun got her to do this. And fucking Yeonjun took the fuck off running in the snow. But then Dong-eun started crying. I couldn't understand why she was crying.
I remember walking in here and you were like, why is she doing that?
Yeah, I showed you the scene and everything. I didn't understand why she was crying.
I just thought maybe it's just because she feels bad for Sohee.
Yeah. I love that it was about what they did to her too, but it was also, yeah. Okay, so then Yeonjin goes to the hospital and she tells Kang, you got my mother involved in this bullshit. You need to take the settlement. So we need to talk about this because I don't think that we have before. So in Korea, from what I've gathered from talking to folks who live there and the TV shows, like settling, like this, like is very common.
Yeah.
That
I think it's common in Japan too.
Yeah, you have like accidents or fights with people, and they give you the opportunity to settle it civilly between each other, like through the system of like your attorneys and stuff. Like, okay, I agree, I grievance you in this way, and I'll pay you this, whatever, and we won't get the cops involved. Mm-hmm. So I kind of missed the first time that I watched this, that this was part of the plan all along, was not to settle. Because if she had settled and just taken money from her, it would have been, okay, good. We got her to do what we wanted to get done, and you got paid, right? But because she didn't settle, the cops then, you have like a certain amount of time, and the cops then get involved and like look into what happened, and that's when they looked at her phone records and saw, wait a minute, the strange man that you just so happened to hit had been blackmailing you, and they found all that stuff. So, but anyway, she goes to the hospital and she tries to get her to, do you need us? Can you type it? Okay. She tries to get her to settle, and she's like, but first let me give you, I owe you something. She slaps the shit out of her twice. I love it because the second one, she goes like reeling back. You can hear her high heels clicking on the concrete. She's like, kick, 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 kick. And she loses her footing. And she's like, bitch, I got so many pictures of you. Don't fuck with me no more. Don't threaten my daughter. What the fuck is wrong with you? You're a mother. How can you sit here and threaten somebody's child? And she goes back inside and she's out there like cold in her cheek. Like, oh, I never. And she look up. Her husband and the two thugs standing there looking like they about to drop the hottest mixtape. I was like, why are they standing like
leaning
that?
against the wall.
What is it? The one guy got his foot up on the wall. He's leaning back. The other guy's like this. I'm like, what? Why y'all? First of all, how y'all know each other? Like, it was not what I expected to see standing up there at all. So he pays the thugs off. And then he tells them, oh, by the way, I heard Sheen is trying to dip and leave town. Yeah. And they were like, oh, really? So he put into motion that man's death.
Yeah. I forgot he died, too. So Dad, he was like, no one died. That's like, there's at least 4 deaths.
Yeah. So he tells her, here's the address of the girl that you harassed and bullied and assaulted. Go apologize and accept your punishment. She's like, I ain't got nothing to apologize for. She crumpled that paper. Now, we got to talk about this. I understand this.
It was
because she's not a good person. Right? If she was a good person, this might work.
Yeah.
Right? If she had grown up in the X number of years it had been, this might work. But she was never a good person. And now you're asking her to, for one, she don't know all that you know. And so y'all will keep, instead of just saying, look, and I get it, because the moment you tell her everything you have, she's going to start trying to take it from you and figure out a workaround. So you don't want to show your full hand. But at the same time, she doesn't know what you know, and she's very right. She's like, y'all want me to say I did things that they really don't have proof that I did. So I get it. Like, of course she doubles down. Mm-hmm. And he's like, if you don't, I will end our relationship.
I think he was just doing it to see if she really was as... If
yeah, oh, he was not going to stay with her. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no matter what.
I just wanted to...
I was probably more for his daughter, too. Yeah. Like, you give her the opportunity to do it this way than the way Dong-eun is going to do it. Yeah. Where you're doing the perp walk.
He was, like, trying to be like, just, like, save yourself. Like,
yeah.
Don't make this any harder than it needs to be.
Yeah. And then it's all over the news that she's getting a divorce. Like, the very next scene is the entire country. Like, all the phones are blowing up. The doctor sees it. He's like, oh, that means he's single. I don't like that.
Yeah.
And she sees it and laughs. She's at work when she sees it. And she just laughs because she's losing her fucking mind. Yeonjin, right? Yeah. This scene broke my heart. So Hae-jung goes to Sarah, who's now out on bail or whatever. And she's like, she's trying to talk to her and she's just being nasty to her because they're not friends. Mm-hmm. And Hae-jung is trying to be her friend. Mm-hmm. And she's like, oh, and this is what I love. In that, I just remember this. In that flashback of her bullying Sohee and when they bumped into her in the street, the scene starts with Hae-jung walking slightly behind Sarah and Yeonjin, who are like arm in arm. And she's like looking at their like looking them up and down, and she just looks jealous and resentful, particularly of Sarah. So it's like now just remembering that you must like here she was like, now we can be friends, you know, like she's out of like her troubles or whatever, but let's be, you know, let's laugh at her misfortune together. And she didn't want no parts of that. So she told her, I want to pay you for the dress from the second episode, from the cleaners. And she starts to pull out the iPad because she was like, I got the tea, sis. Do you want some of this tea? And Sarah's like, fuck you. By the way, if it wasn't Dong-eun, I keep telling you, we would have been burning your ass. Get out my face. For no reason. Wow. And she was like, I was really going to pay you for that fucking dress, but you know what? Fuck you, druggie. I'm leaving. Meanwhile, Sarah on the computer uploading them goddamn videos from her flip phone that she took in 2005. You pointed
out to me there's multiple videos. It's not just one video.
Yeah, later, after she drops the one video, we see later... Well, we'll talk about it. Okay.
She was still uploading them. Like,
yes! Well, it was a flip phone. It took a while.
Whatever happened to the flight attendant? I don't think we saw her this whole...
Well... What do you mean? Yeah. What do you mean?
Like the aftermath of her?
I don't remember like what happened to the flight attendant.
We'll get there. You're weird.
I think he means like what her at the very end.
At the very, very end. We'll get there. That's what you're talking about?
Yeah. Okay. I don't remember her at all in this whole
This whole what?
This last half.
That's what we're talking about right now.
Wasn't there another girl?
No.
It was just the three of them?
Yes.
3 girls, 3
For some reason, I thought there was 4.
Woo, Lord Jesus. That's why I was like, I didn't know if we should continue. Because I'm like, certainly he does it. Because we're literally... So the flight attendant is the girl who started sleeping with Jeju. She has the short hair.
Okay.
And the boob job.
And the boob job.
For some reason,
and she had the iPad with the audio.
Okay.
Right. She's the flight attendant. And she's the one who... She wasn't rich, and they were constantly telling her, if we didn't have these girls to bully, we would be bullying you. So she's the girl who, in that second episode, remember, her family also owns the dry cleaners, and she wore one of Sarah's dresses and tried to pretend. Right. So that's the dress she was going to pay her for in that scene, and she was going to pay her by letting her listen to the audio of Yeonjin and Myunggo. But Sarah started talking shit, so she was like, fuck you, put the iPad back in the bag, and left. And Sarah was distracted because she was taking those videos of the bullying off of her flip phone from 2005. I can't believe she still had that phone. Anyway.
I can't believe it still worked.
So then Yeonjin's mom goes to Kang's house, and Kang is like, I don't want a settlement, leave me alone. And then Dong-eun goes to the mom's house and was like, I know what you did, and I don't care. I know you killed that man because he was blackmailing you, and I don't care. But what I do need from you is that tag, your daughter's name tag.
I love how she did this.
She didn't even need it.
She didn't need it. She just did it because she's like, I just wanted to know if you betray your daughter, so I can rub it in her face.
Yes, she didn't even need this shit. This is so beautiful. So she was like, and I know you're going to pretend that this is a hard decision to make, but
I'm going to pretend to give you time.
Yes, but just call me when you're ready to do this, and pretend that you have to think about it. So Sarah posted all the videos, and like I said, like she posted the one that we saw the flashback of, but then later you see her uploading more, and she's like, that bitch, and you just see the thumbnails, and it's like 6 different bully like other girls. And fucking, Yeonjin walks into the office, like, reading her script out loud, and the one girl is like, it's gonna be cold outside, but you're on fire. And Yeonjin was like, don't you have internet at home? You're talking about the divorce? That was yesterday's news. She's like, are you just finding out? She asked that girl if she had internet at home. She's like, you come to work to use the Wi-Fi. And that girl's like, no, bitch, I'm talking about these videos. Yeonjin is a cold bitch. She was like, you know what? I was a bully, but I ain't no murderer. I quit.
She's really trying her best to make it look like it's not getting to her.
Mm-mm. Then she goes home and her daughter knows. Her daughter's like, fuck off. You're mean.
My friend said you killed her.
She said, my friends are scared of me because they think I'm like you. I don't want to be a weather forecaster anymore. So Yeonjin gives a press conference in all black, no makeup, and says that she used to be a bully, but not to that extreme. She never murdered anybody, and she reveals Sohee's pregnancy, which is so low. Mm-hmm. And she does that to be like, we were friends. She confided in me. I knew this thing about her, that type of thing. She's like, now if you'll excuse me, I got to go to another friend's funeral. So she goes to Myung-go's funeral. And
this is where it gets crazy.
Oh my God. They're sitting there. It is Jae-joon, Sara, and Hae-jung. And Sara's being a bitch. And Jae-joon is like, y'all got your periods? What's wrong? No. He's like, did y'all have a fight? And Hae-jung reaches in her bag and she pulls out the iPad and she sends a video to the group chat. And the video is that time that Sara gave Myung-go a blowjob. And Sara just sitting there eating her soup. And Jae-joon was like, what the fuck is this? And he showed it. He's like, and she looks at it, she goes, that ain't me.
I really like the look that he and Hae-jung exchanged.
When she's sipping her soup. I was rooting for them. I really was. Because remember, after she got stabbed, he's the only person who understood everything.
It's like, you guys are soulmates. How do you
know what she's saying? I don't understand why they couldn't make that work. I was so mad. I was like, why are you treating her like this? She's a baddie. She's the best one of the three, dummy. Anyway. But she was like, that ain't me. And she was like, oh, that's you. She goes, those are your drugged out eyes. This is some funny shit. So then Yeonjin walks up and she's like, we need to talk about the video you released. And she's like, you did it. So now she thinks Yeonjin did it. She grips her up by the hair. And if fucking Hae-jung had just fucking left and shut her fucking mouth. But she said some other smart shit. And Sara's like, oh, it was you, bitch. Meanwhile, Jae-joon is like, I'm leaving because this is boring. Like, he's literally just bored. Mm-hmm. And she pushes fucking Yeonjin on the floor, and then she stabs homegirl in the neck
with the pencil.
In her hair.
I really thought she was dead. Like, I don't know how you survive that shit.
Now, one thing I think is cool is
I'm sorry, it's just so funny to me that she gets stabbed and then it just cuts to Jason just walking.
He's walking out. Yeah, he's walking out the funeral home. He has no
happened.
idea a murder just occurred. It's just like another friend just died. But with this, they had, well, first of all, before that, I had said she needed to take that pencil out her hair and stab Yeonjin. I had said that.
Yeah, you did.
And then when she did it, I was like, close.
Not the right person.
Not the right person, but I understand. But in the very second episode, Myung-go had made a comment about, like, you think you that pencil in your hair makes you look like an artist or some shit like that. Mm-hmm. And also the fact that because of her job, Hae-jung always wore scarves around her neck. And they were always knotted right where she got stabbed. Mm-hmm. Ugh, this show is so good. Okay. So Jae-jun visits the doctor, and he says he wants to see Sohee's body. He's like, I know you in the hospital. And he basically tells him to go fuck himself. And he leaves, and the nurse is like, he didn't pay. He's like, it's fine. He gave me something better. And it's through that he figures out that Jae-jun is the father of Sohoo's baby. Mm-hmm. Sohee's baby, not Myung-go, Donnie. So you're wrong.
I know.
I should take a point away.
No.
And he also so this is weird because I thought he just went there and was like, motherfucker, you almost hit me. I knew you was working with her, toss the card. But like, so when she was like, he didn't pay for his treatment, like he literally signed up and stuff, like, cause he had his health info in there in the computer. And that's how he put thing about the glaucoma and the vascular something. I was like, you dummy. Why are you giving your enemy your medical information? Anyway, and it cost him, so. So then Jae-jun calls Yeonjin to his office, and she gets there first. And he walks in, and she's like, what you call me here for? You gonna be late? And then her mother-in-law walks in. And she tried to play it like they just had a simple fight, and there's gonna be no divorce. And she's like, she picks up a golf club. The mother, she's gonna beat her ass with it. And she's like, she tells her she knows that Yeso is not her son's daughter. And she wants to know who the father is. And then that's when Jae-jun is like, it's me.
It's me.
And she's like, she's like, are you fucking stupid? What are you doing? Like, she knew that no matter what, it was in her best interest, that little girl's best interest, for her husband to be that girl's father. Mm-hmm. And this motherfucker was trying to destroy everything. Mm-hmm. And I love the mother just wrecks the office with the golf club. He don't even try to stop her. Mm-hmm. He's like, yeah, and he did that because he wanted the mother to disown the little girl.
Yeah. To
go over the father's head or whatever. And then we learned that the hospital fee was paid for by the husband. And the doctor's mom sees Dong-eun, like she gets a glimpse of her leaving after asking about paying for it, right? Mm-hmm. And then Do-hyung picks up his daughter from soccer because they're dipping. They're just leaving the country, I guess.
Yeah, the UK.
But she starts crying and she apologizes, and he's like, you have nothing to be sorry for, princess. This was the most pure relationship on the show.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I love everything that happens with these two. I'm so happy
that they just got to live their life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Kong returns the camera and says goodbye. And she says to her, I wonder what you were like as a kid. And she says, Dong-eun, she says, I don't even remember. But then they show her sketching buildings. She's sitting on a rooftop. And it's like, yeah, because she wanted to be an architect. Yeah. And all of that went out the window. Because they bullied her out of school.
It's not too late. Maybe after she's in.
Well, we see at the end when she's in school. That's what she's in school for,
right?
Mm-hmm.
Because one of the people behind her said something like, "Oh, is that the one who submitted the best admission packet or something like that?" So good for her. And she was friends with Kyungna. I forgot that R. You have to pronounce it like an N because it's followed by the NG. So Kyungna, the other girl that was bullied after her. Mm-hmm. We saw they were friendly and stuff. And then she remembers the landlady from before. She was working at that bathhouse, and the woman was doing her laundry in there. She's like, you can't do that here. That's unsanitary. And the lady's like, leave her alone. She just lost her son. Let her work. Just let her be. And then we learned that Hae-jung may not speak again, and Jae-joon dumps her right there. I don't understand why he did this. Like, you could have broken up with, but you don't have to be this way to her. Like, they're so nasty. Mm-hmm. And that's the beauty of this show, is like everything they did was self-inflicted. Mm-hmm. Like, she just really just let them be who they always were, and have them turn it on each other.
She just gave a little bit of fuel and let them destroy each other.
And he's like, oh, by the way, he gives her back the iPad. He erased the audio off of it. Sarah is going to be on trial for attempted murder. Her dad's arrested for tax evasion. And then we see that the doctor put Yeonjin's DNA that he took from her cut under Myung-go's fingernails when they had the body.
Which is smart also, because he should have had her DNA in his fingers, right? If he
did. He did. They cleaned it, remember?
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's just smart because they knew somebody was covering it up and cleaning it.
And then the cops learned that the DNA under the lighter... The DNA on the lighter matches the DNA under Myung-go's fingertips. Mm-hmm. So the same person.
Then he's saying, all right, we need to get all those kids back in here that were involved.
That's right. The doctor meets with his dad's killer and finds out there was no real reason that he killed his father. Mm-hmm. The father...
He said he just wanted to see the son. Remember?
He wanted to see the son.
That he talked about.
That likes the instant noodles. Because nobody else would treat him. He goes on an interview for that job. He doesn't get it, which I was like, well, now that I see what you were trying to do, no shit. He's like, we can't hire you.
You're personally involved.
We can't bring you in here and give you scalpels. And the man who killed your father is just walking around. What kind of fools do you think we are? I was like, I don't know what you needed her help because you did not think that through.
It's so funny because he was warned that he wouldn't get the job because of that.
That's
either.
true.
And
And he did it anyway. He goofy. I like how he meets with his mom after. She immediately knows that something's wrong. Like, she asked if he had been crying, because he pulls over on the side of the road and starts crying after he doesn't get it. Mm-hmm. And she's like, have you been crying? He's like, what do I have to cry about? I just love their relationship. That's another really good relationship on this show. So then Yeonjin goes to her husband's office because she ain't got nowhere else to go. Like, literally, she says that. The secretary's like, he ain't here. He's on his annual leave. She's like, I know. I ain't got nowhere else to go. And then she sits behind his desk.
In his chair.
So she gets a text from Dong-eun, and who tells her, basically she baits her with the name tag to meet her at this restaurant. And when she arrives, she sees that her mom just gave over the name tag to her in exchange for them. Basically, she was like, I'll tell Miss Kang to accept the settlement if you give me this name tag.
Right.
And then she says, I don't even need this because this wasn't found because the cops never found that there. She found it there and sent it to them and they didn't do shit with it. But she was like, I didn't even need this. I just wanted you to know that I could turn your mother against you because your mother ain't shit just like mine.
It worked so beautifully. It was so beautifully done.
Mm-hmm. And then when she confronts her mother, she's like, what did you expect? This is your fault. You couldn't control her. She's like, I ain't going to prison for you. And then we see that So-hee's mom went to the funeral, Myung-go's funeral, and threw food at his picture. Mm-hmm. But then later she collapsed. So Song-hee, the girl who helps Dong-eun, called and said, oh, she collapsed. We're at the hospital. When she gets to the hospital to check on the woman, she finds out that the doc is So-hee's mother's guardian and has been since before they ran into each other again on the train. And then that's when she's like, did you know I confronted you on purpose? I was like, I told you. And he was like, yeah.
But he was kind of stalking her from even before then.
Okay, so I'm glad I rewatched it because I was really like fuzzy on like all of this. but he knew from the beginning. He said that, so he knew about Sohee because of the father. Mm-hmm. And he knew that everybody there knew why the body was being held. The father was doing it out of the kindness of his heart because the mother believed that the daughter was murdered. Mm-hmm. And she had very vocally said who she thought was responsible for this girl, for her daughter's death. So they knew that, right? They were just waiting for the police to get off their ass. So he knew all their names and everything. He had heard the story. Mm-hmm. He saw her at the hospital when they woke up. Remember, like, that is the first time he saw her, and he says, I got from your chart, your school, your name in the school you go to, right? And when she ran out, he followed her, and she went to the mortuary and was standing there. And that's why he was telling the other guy, mm-hmm. if someone comes to the mortuary again, let me know. And that's why he was expecting a woman. He was expecting her. Yeah. And he said he figured that she was friends with Sohee because of their age. That they were probably around the same age. So he just figured that she was someone who went to school with her. And then I think he pieced together that she might have also been bullied because he saw the bruises on her arm at the hospital. So he knew from the beginning, mm-hmm. right? And then he caught her. So you're saying he was stalking her, but not really, because he was just coming to work one day and he saw her. And I love this because we saw this, mm-hmm. but then you see it, like, we saw them meet, like, accidentally, but what we didn't see was that she was watching him. And he walked by, and then he saw in the reflection
that she was
there watching him, and walked off. And then he followed her, mm-hmm. and they bumped into each other. So he pieced it together that she was probably scoping him out to use him. Mm-hmm. And he was like, fuck it, I ain't got nothing else to do.
That was really what it was. He's like, all right. I'm bored.
Yeah. So he wanted to be used, he said, but she left. And then he was like, but I don't know why you never pulled the trigger. Like, why didn't you use me? And she says she realized he was also a victim because Sohee's mother. So I love this because they're letting you know that she's had a relationship with Sohee's mother this entire time. Mm-hmm. And that they have really been planning this together. And Sohee's mother told her what happened to the father. And she was like, he's a victim too. What right do I have to do this to him? And he was like, oh, good. I thought you just didn't think I was cute. All this time. So she says, will you help me to the end? And he says he will. So they had showed us before she was going to go visit Haejung in the hospital. They didn't show like what happened with that. Here we see that she offers her this drug that will make Jae-joon go blind to get her revenge. So one girl lost her voice. He lost his sight.
Well, he died too, so.
Well, also that. So she goes to get her shit, and he changed the code. He's sitting there playing with the dog, and you just hear beep, 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 He comes to the door, she's like, oh, you was in here the whole time, motherfucker. You heard me out here. And then she debates doing it. But he comes, like, I love, another thing with them is that all of them got chances. Mm-hmm. More than they deserved. Anytime somebody gave them a chance to do the right thing, to be a better person, they chose not to be. He came in that bathroom talking shit again, and she was like, all right, you know what? But injected that shit. But the funniest part is when she injects it in the thing and she starts shaking it up and she's laughing, but she's like, so it's like it is. I was like, why they do that to her? She's the baddie on the show. The disrespect. I was like, why they give her that scene? But I guess she can't help it. She happy, she laughing. That's just what it sounds like now. Oh my god. So the thugs kill the cop. I fast forwarded through that when I was taking notes. I couldn't watch it again.
So they did verify, because that's one thing I couldn't remember. They verified that they actually killed him.
Yeah, they show it.
Okay.
He turns and looks out the window, and then they show the guy hit him with the hammer in the head. Yeah.
They're like, getting rid of dead bodies in the rain is easiest.
Then Yeonjin,
he looks out and it's raining.
Yep, that's right. Yeonjin's sitting in her closet alone singing, and
she's going insane.
She gets a text from a anonymous phone or whatever, and it's a video of the fitting room, and someone put the bottle back. The bottle is back there in the fitting room. So she jumps up, goes there, and the cops are in there. Got what do they call that? What's it called? The litha something, but I think it's just like the L. But that shit they spray, and then they turn the black light on so you can see all the blood. Now, what is covered? I didn't even think about that. I didn't even think about that. And he didn't think to even clean that thoroughly because they thought they had it covered. Because as a cop, he should have known better. But he didn't think he had to. I didn't even think that there would be that much blood evidence left in there. So she gets arrested. And as she's walking out, she tries to call the number that sent her the video. And that's how we see his Dong-eun standing across the street. She throws the phone in the trash. But I'm like, why y'all let her make phone calls? They finally snapped her.
She's literally handcuffed. Like, why you let her have her phone in her hand?
So the cop, we learned that he got an anonymous tip to check that fitting room. And they were like, but it's weird because why would why wouldn't they get rid of the bottle? But I feel like if you want to make it look like nothing happened and the bottle isn't broken, then you clean it off.
Yeah. Good as new.
So Jae-joon goes looking for his daughter. He goes to the soccer field. He don't even realize he's calling this little girl. It's not even her. They're like, dude.
She's not in this country.
Yuha, yep. So he calls Dong-eun because Do-hyun changed his phone number. He ain't answering or whatever. And so he's like, where's my daughter? And so she tells him to go to this building, and he's driving. His vision's leaving, but he's still driving. And they show like what it looks like for him. I'm like, why are you driving? He puts more eye drops in, which we know is just making it worse. And then he just stopped. He's like in the middle of the street, right?
Yeah.
When he stops the car.
Well,
and now Kaylee says this was on purpose, which, considering what happens to him later. But at the time that it happened, I thought this was just an accident because you hear the
I don't
truck.
think he was in the middle of a street. I think he was like driving down like an alleyway.
But there was like things on the ground, like crosswalk stripes. And there was like a gate in front of him. Because I thought what it was going to end up being was that it was one of the guy's construction sites. And it probably is.
It was.
That's what I thought it was.
Did they show it to us later?
He dropped it.
Well, I know they show us that it is a construction site. Yeah. But
right.
I don't know if I'm sorry, what were you saying?
I'm just assuming it says that he would know that there's concrete.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I feel like it's like the obvious, like they're showing and not really telling us, but they did not explicitly confirm that it is for whatever reason. But I thought he was in the but either way, wherever he stopped the car, the truck like blows its horn first, and then it like hits him, and it's like it. Like you can hear the scut, like it puts the brakes on after it hits, but we don't see how he goes from that because the very next time we see him,
he's just running around
stumbling.
blind.
He's already up. Like, how'd you get that high?
He's up on top of a fucking construction building.
How'd you get that high? How? What happened?
He's blind and disoriented from a car crash.
If I can't see, the last thing I'm doing is climbing.
Especially a ladder or some shit. Like...
Right? Stairs. I'm not gonna keep going up. That's the last thing I'm gonna do. I'm gonna sit my ass down somewhere. You need to find put your back against a wall. Find your phone, right? But okay, so he gets hit. The cop questions Dong-eun about everything, and we see that Yeonjin's mother gets arrested, and the cop basically knows everything, but he's like, you know what? I didn't listen to you before.
I'm just gonna,
bygones. Also, I got a lot of shit to do, so don't worry about me. I'm not gonna, don't be, you ain't gotta send your little tattooed goons after me. I want to forget I ever met any of you motherfuckers.
Let's go back to do my job.
Then fucking Do-hyun goes to the prison to get her to sign the divorce papers. That's some cold shit. And she says it. She's like, you're so cruel. I'm like, bitch, you burn people with curling irons. It's like, what are you talking about?
You murdered 2 people.
She asks if he will give her letters to the daughter if she writes, and he's like, take care of yourself. So is that a no?
I guess so. The daughter probably don't even want to read them.
But I feel like...
They're both so done with her.
I don't know. I feel like you gotta at least keep them, and then let her decide later. Because I would feel bad if, like, she's 18, 19, and she's like, I wanted to read those. Yeah. You know?
When
That's
she's
not...
older.
Yeah. As an adult, yeah. I'm not talking, like, 10. I wouldn't even tell her I have them. Mm-hmm. But at some point, I would be like... I might check in through the years and be like, hey, your mom's still in prison for life. Yeah. If there were some letters, would you want to read them? If she's like, no, then I'm just going to keep putting them in a box.
Is that why the doctor's mother's keeping all those letters? So when he's 56 years old, he can decide if he wants to read them or not.
She wasn't keeping them. He kept them.
I thought she had some too, didn't?
Well, she found them.
Okay, I thought that's the reason.
No, she got like one in the mail.
Got it. Okay.
After because he couldn't he couldn't forward the address from the prison for whatever.
So he's always known, and he reads them.
Yeah,
which is
we're about to talk about that actually. And then he leaves the prison and he goes to a convenience store and he eats a triangle kimbap.
He's just there with the car.
That looked good as fuck.
Too. It did.
Does.
And so the thing that I watched with the writer of this and the cast, she was saying that she feels like that scene, the kimbap scene, is like, well, she said that, but I think she means the original one, like when he's talking to her and he's like, I don't eat carbs or whatever stupid shit he said. She was like, that's when he realized he liked her. Mm. That he did like her. Like, just like as a person. Mm. And, if he wasn't married, this is probably somebody he would have, So Sung-hee is her friend that gets the car. And she gets Mrs. Kang to do all of this, like to go to everybody. The nurse gets money. And then Dong-eun calls the doctor. She's like, let's go see the ocean, which they do. And they have a really good time. But then she dumps him. Ghosts him. Again. This is worse than ghosting, though. This is like, what's the opposite of like an abduction, a kidnapping? This is like, she basically dropped him off at the fire station like a baby. This is abandonment. That's it. That is the opposite of abduction. Abandonment. This is worse than ghosting. Because ghosting, you may be home and like, I wonder what Nina's up to. And it's like, changed her number. This is like, where did Nina go? She was just standing right there. That's different. That's traumatic. That's some shit you do to kids. When you're a shitty parent.
No. She's gone.
Right?
But this is how I felt like watching this whole series. This is how I felt the ending was going to go. Mm-hmm. Is that she was going to die either by suicide or she was going to. Well, both ways.
I thought you were going to say you thought she was just going to dip out like Batman.
No, but I definitely thought she was going to die by suicide, either by self-inflicted like this or doing something to kill the other.
And then it gets her killed. Yeah,
right. But it almost plays like. That was like they could have gone either way, but like, oh no, if we want a second season, let's introduce this next storyline.
Yeah. So she visits Yeonjin in jail, and she basically is like, she basically mind fucks her because she was like, "You're resentful, or you should be resentful. You don't even know." She's like, "What do I have to be resentful about?" And then we see that Kyung-na is the one who actually killed Myung-go. And she doesn't know that.
And she'll never know that.
And that's just...
And just letting her know that there's
And to know that there's something you don't know, and it has to do with why you're in here.
It's gonna drive her crazy.
It did, as we see.
She was telling the weather in the fucking prison. That was funny.
And we see that Kyung-na had texted her for help and told her about the bottle and all that stuff. So, yeah. She burns all the pics and letters, and she tells the people who she got her revenge on, she's like, I hope it burned for you too. Like, the 8. Because we see, I love throughout the show, we kept seeing her sometimes just sitting there rubbing her arm through her clothes, you know, so we know these things still physically affect her. And she's about to jump off the roof and kill herself when the doctor's mom stops her. His name is Yeojong, by the way. Sohee's mom told her everything. She be running her mouth. She probably sitting there just writing her ass off like, let me tell you what this bitch did. And let me tell you. Because when the dad died, she said her savior died. Remember? The Sohee's mom called the doctor who froze the body her savior. And when he died, she told that. It's like, you know. And then that's what she said. She wanted to get close to him just to see if they were going to move the body from the freezer. She hadn't really thought about using him to the extent that she eventually did. Yeah. He's like, see, you need to think bigger. I made a practice in Samyang for you, sis. Anyway, she's like, help me save my son. And then she confirms that the prison inmate number and the name on those letters, you know, they're the same person. And which I thought she had kind of figured out that it was the guy who killed her dad, but his dad. And then we see what it was like when the father died. And at trial, when they announced that he was getting death, that man was sitting there scratching an itch in his cast and laughing. Not even listening. A homeboy lost it. And then we saw how he would read the letters and cry. The acting in this show was so fucking good from everybody. 6 months later, it's the summer of 2023. He's still going to the Go Park, coming home every day, checking the Go board. It's not being...
like he's coming up checking like his answer machine.
Yeonjin's in prison. She sees her mom. Her mom plays her dust.
Doesn't even look at her.
Her mom is like, oh, did you not get the memo when we was at that restaurant? We are not a thing anymore. And she loses her mind. And then she goes to her cell, which she shares with like 4 other girls. And they're like, pretty face, what's the weather going to be tomorrow? She's crying and she stands up and she ties her shirt in a knot. She stands there and she delivers the weather crying. And I'm like, I couldn't tell. Did she lose her mind or is she being bullied?
I think it's both.
I think it's both.
She's being bullied and she's...
Right.
Yeah.
I felt like they're bullying her to do that.
That pleases me.
Yeah.
It shouldn't, but it does. Dong-eun's at a temple, so it's like weird because the mom stopped her from killing herself, and then she just went on vacation for like 6 months.
Yeah. She was like the comment.
She probably saved my son. Okay, after
right, I was like, he could have did anything in them 6 months. 6 months is a long fucking time.
She was probably plotting the whole time.
Yes, but I mean, she could have been putting some go pieces down every few days, keep this motherfucker's hopes up. She was away for 6 goddamn months. So, now, this woman at the temple is the mother-in-law, or was going to be Hae-jeon's mother-in-law. Yeah. But we don't really know, like, what she does, because I don't think she orchestrated kind of his prison transfer because she knew stuff about the prison system and she was like, he needs to get in trouble in the prison he's in order to get transferred. And then when she left, like it wasn't just like security, it was like secret service level detail. Yeah, like she got in the car and then they were like looking around. It's like, okay, like they tapped the car.
She reminds me of the woman from Inspector Koo.
The
older lady.
I was like, okay, so she's somebody.
When we saw her the other time, she didn't have that.
Yeah, she was just...
We didn't see her, like, really leave or anything. We only saw her there at the temple, like, waiting for her to come in and eat.
Yeah.
just the way we saw her in the temple before. Like, in this scene. Like, they started out, they were making kimchi together, and then they went inside and they were praying and stuff, so she's somebody. And then she also offers her a loan. She's like, and I won't even charge you interest or something. And I was like, okay, so she's rich?
Right, that while it made me feel like she was some kind of criminal.
Crime boss.
Yes,
like the lady from Inspector Coo. Like,
well, because her son looked mad trashy.
Yeah.
Right.
That she was going to,
She came off as a crime boss.
Yeah. So the doc comes home every day checking that board and nothing until there's a piece. I heard it. There's a piece there and he like gets excited and then you hear because he ain't changed that code. And she comes in, she's like, I got beer. He's like, bitch!
She's like, I just went to the store to get some beer.
She's like, I just left for some cigarettes. Some milk. But she admits that she left out of love. She thought it was, and she kisses him. And he says, well, my revenge failed, so thanks for that. Thanks for nothing. She was like, you need a tutor. You're doing it wrong. And then she says, I'll be your headsman. Who do you want me to kill first? I was like, I love this couple. This is great.
Power couple.
So she leaves a note for the landlady telling her, I finally remember you. And we see that they stopped each other.
From killing me.
And she was like, we should die in the spring. Yeah. She was like, I think she goes, I know now what you meant was that we should bloom in the spring. And she's like, it's been 18 springs since then. And it was so sweet.
And she got a tattoo of flowers blooming.
Yep.
I think specifically of the Devil's
trumpet.
Devil's trumpet. Angel's trumpet.
So she's in school for architecture. Like you said, she has a tattoo. And she's also back to tutoring because revenge is expensive. Mm-hmm. By the way, so she comes home and like he's cooking dinner and they're all domestic. And he's like, by the way, what happened to Jae-jun? And I was like, yeah! And that's when they fucking, like 6 months goes by. And he's like, by the way.
After 6 months.
And they show him, I still want to know how we even get from the last we saw him to this. And they don't show it explicitly, but clearly that was the husband that killed him, right?
Because after it shows him walking in the airport with his daughter.
Yeah, it's the tie. They had the same tie.
No,
it did have the
tie. It was different. I'm pretty sure. I'm going to watch it again because I distinctly remember being like, at least he changed his clothes. Like, because the suit was different and everything.
It did make a point to show the killer's tie, though.
It did, because he leans forward and...
But also, it just bothers me that we don't know what happens to... Oh my god, he needs more water already. We don't know what happens to flight attendant girl.
Yeah, they don't show her after her causing him to go blind. She's working at that dry cleaners. The tattoo gang guys give our girl Dong-eun a car and a phone, and it's for Miss Kang. She's going back to work. She's just out there living her life, working in a shop.
We don't see her with her daughter.
No, we never see the daughter.
And as a matter of fact, you see her get a little sad when she sees another mother and daughter.
Yeah, and like you and me, as we're watching the scene for the first time, I'm like, why is she just not going to see her daughter? Like, there's nothing stopping her.
Yeah. So the prisoner who killed the dad, he gets into a fight. He's transferred to this new prison where Dong-eun is now going to be teaching a class. They called it like a debate class, but she's like, really, this is book club, niggas. We're going to read some books. We're going to talk about what we read, and maybe I'll help you write a resume if you're interested. Because these are prisoners who are due to be released soon.
Yeah.
Specifically, yeah. And then he works there now. And this is in Jisan, by the way. It's called the Jisan prison. And he's basically, the doctor's doing, like, he did surgery for, one of the prisoner's sisters was assaulted by a guy she wouldn't date. Mm-hmm. And he did plastic surgery for her injury. And the guy is like, when I get out, I'll pay you whatever. And he's like, actually, you still work in whatever section of the prison. And he was like, yeah. He goes, maybe you could pay me in another way. And he's like, that's it? He's like, that's all you want? He's like, yeah. But they don't show what that is.
Yeah.
So I don't know. They could be setting up that they're just telling you this is how he's going to be getting things done.
Yeah.
You know, just kind of laying the groundwork for that. Or it could be something specific. Like they could be planning another season. I don't know.
I love that scene of
when he's walking and he sees the doctor in his back.
The slow turnaround.
Yes.
Just, oh.
He actually stopped walking. He was shook. It was the first time he was shook. And it ends with her visiting Sohee's grave and saying, we're 19 now. Like, she's like, she feels like her life stopped at 18 and now she can, like,
Continue.
Right.
Yeah. And that includes going to work at the prison with her boyfriend.
Yep, and going to school.
And going to
more
school.
revenge.
And getting more revenge.
Kill more people.
So that is it. I know it was a lot, but, you know, it was a lot that happened. Our next K-drama, you guys are going to be voting between 4 titles. They are Hyena, Sky Castle, The Tale of the Nine-Tail.
Nine-tailed fox?
No, just Tale of the Nine-Tail.
Well,
Yeah, but
Is
but
that
that's
the Pokemon?
oh my god,
the what? What'd you say?
Pokemon.
Jesus Christ!
There is a Pokemon. With,
You guys are so
Nine-tailed.
annoying. Oh my god. And Taxi Driver. So I'm going to get the synopsis for all 4, put the trailers up, put a poll. You guys will have a week to vote, and that will be our next K-drama. I'm so glad that you guys followed along on The Glory with us. I'm going to end this now because I'm getting really tired and I still need to eat. And but as always, if you guys want to interact with us talking about this show, even though you didn't send in feedback when you listen to this, please let me know what you thought of the end of The Glory. As you see, I rated it a 10. It's Kaylee's second favorite K-drama. Donnie loved it. We hope that you loved it too. All right. Talk to you guys next time.